Did we just see anything we just saw? Wow!
And it is the 4th and 1 podcast, and we are back with you live, Lancaster, Lidditz, and eventually Williamstown, Pennsylvania. It is your boy, aka, everywhere you get your podcast, YouTube, Instagram, at 4th and 1 podcast, TikTok, at 4th and 1 pod. We're here. We're going to have fun. It was a wild week in football. I actually was able to watch most of it for once. As always, I got my boy, my brother, Micaiah Schlicker, a.k.a. Captain Boring himself, along. What? We have a mostly tonic little gin that we're rocking with on a Tuesday. And we ain't here to be Tuesday.
Nice.
That's great. Are we officially halfway through, or are we halfway through?
Well, no, week 7 was halfway through because there are technically 14 weeks. So
it's confusing like that.
Right. Normally week 6 is, but we are going on week 8, which is crazy to me that we're just heading down the home stretch here. How can it be that already? And we'll get into previewing, I'm sure, but listen, we are on the doorstep of potentially one of the great college football Saturdays coming up. Okay.
Oh,
back in July when they released the schedule, well before that, but really as I'm looking through it in July, preparing for the college football season, because I can taste it. You can start tasting it in July, and then you start smelling it in August, and then you feel it right when it arrives.
Oh, 3 of the 5 senses. Good jobs.
Thanks.
Yeah.
The first weekend I immediately went to and my gazed upon was the third Saturday in October. Now, the third Saturday in October is the rivalry name of Alabama-Tennessee. So, they are playing. However, this is just going to be, I feel, an all-time Saturday. Just real quick before we get into it, right, reviewing previous Saturday, because that was an all-time Saturday as well. We have Oregon at Purdue. Oregon's coming off a big-time dub, okay? And I would just like everyone to know Purdue sucks. Yeah. But in October, when they have a top 5 team at home, at night, everyone's on upset alert, okay? Let's start with that. And then you got Oklahoma State, who also sucks. But they know how to sometimes form a team, get together, and they're on the road against BYU. That's Friday. Let's fast forward to Saturday real quickly. Nebraska at 16th ranked Indiana. I thought that this was going to be the other way around, rankings-wise. This is incredible. Auburn at number 19, Missouri. Miami at Louisville. Louisville, still a very competent football team. Third Saturday in October rivalry. Number 24, Michigan at number 22, Illinois. Navy hosts Charlotte. Ranked Navy, I might add. Notre Dame goes on the road to Georgia Tech, a very competent Georgia Tech team. Of course, you have the big one. Number 5, Georgia goes to the number 1 team in the country, Texas. And then a game that always never disappoints, and this isn't in our preview section, Simeon. 5 out of the last 6 meetings, this game, this rivalry from the SEC West has finished within 1 score, within 7 points. The last 3 times these 2 teams have gotten together, it's been a 3-point ball game. And that would be LSU going on the road to Arkansas.
Huh.
Yes, so I didn't put them in.
There's a fun fact for you.
Yeah, I put another game in. But this is whenever, and Arkansas already has the upset over Tennessee at home. Mm-hmm. Now they get another top 10 SEC team. Their offense coming along a little bit. So, listen, I cannot oversell this enough. Now, watch it be a dud of a weekend, but I cannot oversell this enough.
I mean, there's just a lot of good games going on. I'm looking at the 8 o'clock, like that SMU at Stanford game.
Yeah.
Stanford and Cal this year have just loved to play spoilers when, like, they've lost the games that they should won, and they've won the games that we just thought were going to be blowouts.
Right.
Both of them. Respectfully.
Meanwhile, at SMU, loses to BYU early. People are like, oh, here we go. BYU sucks again. And then they hung 66 on TCU, 42 on Florida State, and upset number 22 Louisville at the time on the road on a bye last week. And they are back to finish out their season. And then Simeon, surprising team first half of the season that's not getting any love. And that would be the Pitt Panthers, number 20 ranked. They're 2-0 in conference, 6-0 overall. They got an offense. They beat Cal last week. And then they got Q's next week. They're off this week.
Okay,
SMU, Virginia, Clemson, Louisville.
There's the ACC is a weird one because you already said Clemson with the bounce back? They've won.
No, I didn't. But
first
go
one, and then they
go
bounced
for
back
it.
for the past. What are they? 5-1 right now.
Yeah, 5-1. You got it. 4-0
So
in conference.
they take on Virginia at noon. You would hope they're a 21-point favorite. You would hope that's a win. Virginia also looking. I think the biggest confident. Yeah, I think the biggest thing we've learned this year so far is that those middle of the road teams kind of look scary. I think. And I say that like the Virginia Tech. I'm looking at Thursday night. We got some Thursday night football in Blacksburg, Boston College at Virginia Tech. If you're not doing anything, watch the game. I probably will, unfortunately, be doing something, so I'll forget that it's on and not watch it. But I would, because it's Blacksburg at night, which I hear gets lit. And it's a very good Boston College team and a very good Virginia Tech team. And it's just going to be good football in total. And 2 weeks ago, this line would be totally different. Boston College is favored is a 7-point underdog to Virginia Tech thanks to ESPN bets. Listen, we're unpartisan in who we shout out on the podcast until someone pays us. So it is one of those situations where, Virginia Tech, if you would have told me Virginia or Virginia Tech at the beginning of the year, Vanderbilt for that matter, would be a team in contention for like high middle of the road teams, I would have laughed you out of the room. I think we did when we did the preview of the ACC this year. I think we basically just wrote off, if we even covered at all, Virginia and Virginia Tech.
Boston College for sure. Shout out Bill O'Brien, really turning that program around. And I just did a prediction that gave me, little spoiler alert, that gave me my final 12 teams. And I had Vanderbilt going 8-4. I've watched enough of their football to know better. JMU is probably going to go 12-1. Their one loss to UNL Monroe looks, I don't know what it was, but I watched them absolutely manhandle the Chanticleers. Watch them being in the ACC Big Ten in like 5 years. Next TV deal, JMU's going to jump because that place was lit. That place was packed. We're talking middle of nowhere, Virginia. Beautiful middle of nowhere, but middle of nowhere, Virginia. And JMU was packed last Thursday. Let's go ahead and kind of take a step back and look at last week a little bit while we're waiting for Robert to show up. Ladies and gentlemen, the third member of the podcast will show up here eventually. $4 tickets, by the way, in Blacksburg for this game. Is that the lowest for the weekend?
I haven't looked yet, but if I was in southwestern Virginia, I'd go watch it.
It's cheaper by $1 than Kennesaw State in Middle Tennessee.
Yikes.
How does that make sense?
It doesn't. Kennesaw State.
It's the same price as Georgia State Marshall. They're both $4.
Again, two teams in the middle of nowhere, too, also, to be fair.
Kansas, Houston, also $4. I'm just scrolling real quick. Yeah, so $4 does appear to be the lowest.
So,
nope. Vanderbilt. Ball State at Vanderbilt. Those dollars.
At Vandy.
At Vandy.
Dude, you and I should have gone to a Tennessee game and then hopped over to Nashville this year. That would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So me and Carrie are going out to probably Michigan, Oregon.
Yeah.
And we were like, we don't want to see Michigan just get railroaded by Oregon, right? Right.
Yeah.
So we might not go, but we're definitely going to go out and visit the grandmother there in Ohio. And Carrie was like, because she wants to start seeing more college football stadiums.
Yeah.
She was like, I have an idea. Let's go see South Bend. I'm like, you know what? I'm down. Let's go.
Don't hate that idea.
Let's go. Problem is, they're on a bye week.
But what about Bowling Green and or Toledo?
Yeah, I don't know that I could.
You should
bring myself to go to a Bowling Green game, but
Okay, so here's the deal. First of all, screw you. You're a college football fan. You'll go watch anything.
I will. But
Okay.
that's a tough sell.
Second of all, you should see. I don't think it's going to be, but you should see if it's the rival for I-75 or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah.
Because you have to remember, they're both good teams this year.
Well, BYU
Speaking Toledo
ish.
No, speaking of Toledo, Bowling Green.
Oh yeah.
Like they're both. That's the rivalry, not the Holy War. Why did you think I was talking about the Holy War?
What? No.
You just said BYU, sir.
I meant Bowling Green.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like you should. I want to as well experience some action at some point.
Experience a half-filled stadium.
Experience a half-filled stadium for like $15, a beer, and you know the best part about Bowling Green, if they're not on a bye week that week, is it is 45 minutes from Grandma's house, dude. You will be in and out like that.
Lickety split.
You'll have a great weekend.
All right, and out.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the conference standings and then the AP standings before we get into it. I didn't know this. Army has played 5 conference games already. They are 5-0 and leading the American Athletic. They are both ranked with Navy, who are both undefeated, and ranked for the first time since 1960. That is 60 some years. 66 years.
Spoiler alert right here. That third team, North Texas.
Years. Yeah.
Mean Green,
5-1.
Memphis Tigers, 1-1 in conference, hanging around, both 5-1. We could be talking about them later.
All these games they still have to play against the 2 schools, as well as Tulane, who's 2-0 in conference and 4-2 overall.
The ACC, I figured we could just go back and forth here.
Yeah,
so you got Big 12 next. So the ACC, Clemson sits atop. Again, as Simeon already touched on, no, I did not predict this. I thought it was a dreadful start against Georgia. Kind of week 2. I mean, week 2, they bounced back. I believe out state they hung 66. But it was kind of, here we go again here. But Clemson, 4-0 in conference. But right behind them, the number 6 Miami Hurricanes, 6-0. The number 20 ranked Pitt Panthers, 6-0. 21 SMU, they're 5-1, but 2-0 in conference. And then Louisville's not out of it. Yes, 2 losses, but 2-1 in conference. Syracuse, they're 2-1. Virginia's 2-1. Then you got Georgia Tech at 3-2. So going to be an exciting conference down the stretch. Simeon, Big 12?
Big 12 is, I thought at the beginning of the season the ACC was going to be the dumpster fire of the conference, and it's kind of turned into the Big 12 for better or for worse. I'm not 100% sure. You tell me. BYU and Iowa State are tied 13-9 in the AP right now, both undefeated overall. I love saying this, and it's a lot of fun.
Also don't play each other the remaining of the season, so they could meet at the end.
Well, Iowa State still has a few games, so does BYU, as well as Utah, who isn't. Cam Rising now out, eligible for his 13th
Tired of hearing
decade.
about Cam. I don't know why he triggers me. Just go away.
Probably because he's been in there for forever.
Go away.
So the Holy War there, obviously that rivalry gets renewed this year.
Yep.
But top of the Big 12 with Kansas State right there behind him, and Arizona. Who did they upset? I'm forgetting who it was.
Arizona State, you mean?
Yeah, Arizona State.
Utah.
So
They beat
upset Utah at 2-1. Colorado's there at 2-1 too, but I'm not going to mention because kind of there's a steep drop off in my opinion between Arizona, who's there at 5,
Arizona State.
Thank you. Who's there at 5. And Cincinnati, who's there at 6. But Texas Tech, Iowa State, BYU, all undefeated in conference. The top 2 there being undefeated overall.
The Big 10, shocking team at the top. You could have paid me. You could have said, Micaiah, I'll give you $10,000, but you have to put it on Indiana Hoosiers not only being ranked, not only being the first team to be 6-0 and get 6 wins on the season, first team in the entire country, but also leading the Big 10 conference. If you would have given me $10,000 and said put money on that, I would have said just burn your money. That's the dumbest bet of all time. So they're 3-0. Ducks came off of a great win. We'll talk about that. They're 3-0. The Lions of Penn State, they're 3-0. These are all in conference. All three teams are also 6-0. And then you got a mesh of 2-1, which is the Fighting Illini, the Ohio State Buckeyes, Nebraska Cornhuskers, Iowa Hawkeyes, Michigan Wolverines, defending natty champs for now, and the Wisconsin Badgers.
With Minnesota being an honorable mention, I would say.
And Minnesota's been tough, right? Minnesota's going to ruin someone's season.
Well, they already ruined USC's season, in my opinion.
Yeah, lot of stuff to come. Simeon, Conference USA.
I mean, this is a game that Makai. Have you seen a single snap of Conference USA football?
I'm going to say, well, I watched Western Kentucky get dominated by Alabama, but that doesn't count.
That doesn't count. That's not conference on conference. Liberty looking like they're going to repeat again in conference. They're 5-0 overall, 3-0 in conference. With
Sam Houston just made the jump to FBS like 2 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, maybe this year. I'm going to look that up here in a second after I'm done talking about it. But like Jacksonville State Gamecocks, Rich Rodriguez, I believe, still down there, made him bounce back again. Great in-conference game. So those are all the undefeated teams. Guys, I think it's really just a drag race at this point between Liberty and Sam Houston, maybe a Western Kentucky, but it's probably going to be a repeat for Liberty again. A lot of returning starters on that team.
Speaking of tickets that are only $4, and that would be MACtion getting in and getting out, and it's the Buffalo Bulls leading the way. So no one is undefeated outside of conference play. Conference play, yes. So 4-2 are the Buffalo Bulls and Ohio Bobcats. Then Western Michigan Broncos are 3-3, but 2-0 in conference. So those are all your unbeaten teams. And then it's a whole bunch of 1-1 teams, including Toledo, Bowling Green, Eastern Michigan, Miami of Ohio, Northern Illinois, who upset Notre Dame, but really hasn't won. It felt like hasn't won since. And then Simeon's team, the Central Michigan Chippewas in the Dynasty. So a lot of things to come from the MAC. Toledo, however, went on the road to Buffalo as 21-point favorites on Saturday and got rocked. It was like an 18-point W, I think, for Buffalo.
Who was this? Sorry, for
Toledo.
Toledo rocked Buffalo rocked Toledo?
Yes, they were like 20-point favorites, I think.
Yeah,
it was 37-19 at one point in time, I think.
Two things. First, Sam Houston State, going back for 2 seconds, Sam Houston State joined last year. So shout out Sam Houston State.
Shout out Sam Houston.
Had you told me that the Buffalo Bulls were gonna, and yes, I'm being serious right now. Have you told me that the Buffalo Bulls were gonna be top of the MAC at halfway through the season or right over halfway through the season? So I would have laughed in your face with how poorly they played last year. And Toledo was the favorite by far, and you're telling me that they just lost? That's insane to me.
How are both of the Fighting Kevin Kern teams just so awful? Kent State 0-6, and Akron Zips 1-6, 0-2 and 0-3 in conference respectively.
I mean, and technically, didn't he get his doctorate at Bowling Green anyway? So like Robert just joined the pod. What's up, Robert? We were talking about the MAC.
Whoa.
The MAC attack. Yeah, your boy's here, ready to rock and roll.
You came in hot.
Yeah, he is out of breath.
Listen,
he ran up those stairs.
Are you good? Do you need a minute?
Listen, that was a casual stroll up those stairs, okay?
But do you need a minute? Because you're
like I ran up the yard, got the dog out, ran up 3 flights of stairs. No, I'm good though.
All right.
Got his cardio in. So MAC, really a fun conference this year.
Yeah.
I got to give him credit. They out here, they wildin'. Mountain West, and fun for a different reason. Probably because now I have to remember. Gentry is his last name. Ashton,
yeah.
Ashton Genty.
Got to be Heisman front runner.
Dude is on pace to break Barry Sanders' records at OSU, Oklahoma State. He is insane. He went for another $180 and 3 tutties last week.
Yeah.
I don't even know who they played. He himself is putting Boise State as the front runner in the Mountain West. and probably let alone one of like that group of 6, as I'm calling them, into the conference just by him. UNLV, after losing their quarterback to
Are better off for it.
are better off for it after losing their quarterback, 2-0 in conference, with San Diego State just chilling there after losing Brady Hoke. But again, it's UNLV and Boise State's conference at this point.
Who would have called that when you lose Brady Hoke that you actually get better?
Not me.
Oh, that's right. Everybody.
No. I always assume there's a drop off.
So the Southeastern Conference, there are 3 unbeaten teams in conference. That
Hold
would
on.
be. Oh, okay.
No, go ahead. I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I have a point after you tell me who the unbeaten teams are, though.
Oh, okay. That would be the Texas A&M Aggies,
Yeah.
the Texas Longhorns,
Yeah.
and the LSU Tigers. Then there are a bunch of teams with 1 loss in conference, including the Bulldogs, the Razorbacks, the Crimson Tide, the Commodores, who are ahead of Bama, the Tennessee Vols, and then like the Missouri Tigers have only played 1 conference game. So this is also going to be an exciting conference kind of down the stretch, especially come this weekend. Robert, I've already commented on the 3rd Saturday in October and how just great, like the overall Saturday and what the slate is looking like there. So a lot yet to come from this conference, but the team sitting in 2nd right now, in my opinion, and we can talk about this in just a minute, the Texas Longhorns are by far the best team in America, in my opinion.
So my question is, who's more of a cluster fuck of a conference this year?
Way to go.
Is it the SEC from an expectations perspective? I'm speaking not. Is it the SEC or is it the Big 12? That's my question to both of you.
I still think it's the Big 12. Like, I mean, your expectations for the SEC are always really high. But
such a steep drop off, though.
I mean, no, is it though? You still have number 1 Texas, number 5 Georgia, number 7 Alabama, number 8 LSU, like 11 Tennessee, 14. Like, it's still a very like.
Oh,
that looks like the SEC to me. Yeah, they're not 1, 2, 3, 4, but I mean,
excuse me.
You turn around and you look at the Big 12. I mean,
but this is what I'm saying. This is my thought process because yes. The SEC would beat the Pac-12 up and down. Even Mississippi State sitting there at 1-5, or Auburn or Florida would beat most Big 12 teams on a good day. I'm looking at the SEC, and from a power shifting perspective, I think they if we're looking at the power rankings of conferences, they lost momentum compared to like a Big 10. Or even an ACC who's done a pretty good job kind of stabilizing themselves because Clemson made them bounce back. That's more the point that I'm trying to make here is I think if we're looking at power rankings for conference, SEC fell, and so did the Big 12.
A conference that did not fall would be the Fun Belt Conference.
Dude, they are having so much fun down there in the middle of nowhere, in the States, in the Sun Belt, in the Fun Belt. Teams who we thought would have won was App State. Troy looked good a few years ago, not doing too hot. The Georgia Southern Eagles are currently leading the East. This is the only conference that still has divisions. So the Georgia Southern Eagles are currently leading the East, and that's only because James Madison lost to UN Monroe, who's leading the West. The Raging Cajuns are back, baby. They're 2-0 in the West, along with Ray McLeod's brothers-led Texas State Bobcats. Jordan McLeod, I believe, is his name. They're 2-0 in the West, so the West looks hot. And after watching Coastal Carolina just get their butts handed to them by the James Madison Dukes, I've already touched on this. They look hot right now at 5-1. Gonna have to take on Georgia Southern. So those are the top 3 in the East. I still think it's going to be James Madison. I think it's going to be a UL Monroe taking on James Madison in the conference champs there.
I still can't get over the fact that App State's 0-3 in conference and 2-4 overall. And didn't Troy win the whole Sun Belt last year? And they're 1-5.
Like the past 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, the absolute turnover in those lower divisions is kind of astounding. I have to give the guy, and I'm forgetting his name, who's coaching JMU. I was expecting a steep drop off.
Chesney.
He came in. And
Chesney, yep.
Thank you. And he installed character. He installed that. The guys have swagger. That home field was lit on a Thursday night? A Friday night?
Yeah, well, okay. They could have played it on a Tuesday afternoon and it would have been lit. There's nothing to do down there. Speaking from experience, we've been there. There's nothing to do. I know,
but like even when there's nothing to do, you don't expect to see the atmosphere that you saw. Shout out Dan Mullins for calling that game. Get back in the studio, though. You're better there.
He's going to be in Starkville this weekend, actually. They are celebrating. And here's something lame, Robert.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard this or if you watch College Football Final. This week, this upcoming game, Mississippi State is celebrating the 10-year anniversary of them being ranked number 1 in the inaugural College Football Playoff ranking.
I don't think you could have told me.
Listen, they got to celebrate something somehow because they haven't been that good. And
have they retired Dak Prescott's jersey yet? Like I figured you would start there.
I mean, I don't even know. I would retire the running back before I would retire Dax.
Yeah, he okay. Well, that's a little disrespectful,
Evans,
but
maybe no, that was
No,
Texas
he's at
A&M.
A&M. That running back though, he was a little bowling ball.
Yeah. We looked up that season a couple weeks ago just for kind of kicks and gigs at the end of a hard work day, and that was a wild season.
Mm-hmm.
That was a wild season. Simeon, you want to where are we going from here?
Just real quick, going over the top 12 right now as it may be. Texas still holding down that number 1 spot in the AP. We're talking Oregon bumps up after their win against Ohio State. Penn State's now at number 3, and Ohio State bumped down to number 4. That's 3 Big Ten teams in the top 5, which is wild to me.
Well, it's 2 Big Ten teams and then the imposter at number 2, but that's fine.
Yeah, you and my father-in-law agree about that. Number 5 is Georgia, not moving. Alabama, Miami, Alabama. LSU jumps up 5 points after a nasty throw in a good way to end the game. Iowa State's now at 9. Clemson stays the same at 10. Tennessee drops to 11, and Notre Dame didn't do anything to hurt no one. Still dropped down to number 12.
Bob, you got any BBPs on the AP Top 25?
Number 1, how does Alabama not move at all? They've, coming off of a loss and then have a super close game that they honestly should have lost to an unranked South Carolina. They don't move at all, but you move Notre Dame, who didn't do anything, and they go down a spot.
And Tennessee.
Yeah, and
overtime win.
Overtime win moves down 3. Because what? Because you wanted to. I mean, okay, moving up LSU, moving up Iowa State, fine. They won their games. When you win, you move on. I don't think Ole Miss deserved to lose 9 spots.
That has to be not including like the first 2 weeks where they're adjusting. That has to be the furthest drop this year. Yeah, 9?
No, the furthest drop was Notre Dame in the beginning when they lost to Northern Illinois.
I don't count the first 2 weeks. So from week 3,
right.
It's because you're self-adjusting first 2 weeks.
If you want to move Ole Miss 4, okay, because it was still LSU was 13 at that point.
Yeah.
So it's not like it wasn't a rank unranked game. That was Boise State going up 2. I'm okay with. Finally putting Army and Navy in. That's perfectly fine. Ohio State going down 2. That's fine. It was a close loss. It was a road loss.
Vanderbilt and Nebraska. Vanderbilt got 68 votes, still somehow isn't ranked. Nebraska got 62 votes. How Nebraska is getting votes behind Vanderbilt, I'm not really sure.
Here's my thoughts. Okay.
And then Arizona State with 39.
Thank you, Micaiah.
You're welcome.
Utah and Oklahoma drop out.
Yep.
Okay. Makes space. Makes total sense. Oklahoma looks like a complete fraud.
Yeah.
Army and
Oklahoma's
Navy
quarterback situation.
Yeah. Army and Navy get ranked for the first time since 1960. You already talked about that.
Yep.
Vanderbilt can have 24, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Michigan does not deserve.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about
Yeah.
total frauds at quarterback,
Well,
Michigan.
Let's be honest. It's going to happen this weekend.
Uh,
So they're going to have 25-24. Let's be honest.
I'd rather watch Maction on ESPN Plus at 2:30 than watch whatever swine that Michigan is going to put on the field this weekend. I don't even know who they're
poor
playing.
Jack Tuttle. Jack Tuttle hasn't even.
No, I'm not. I'm talking their entire team.
Yeah, it's not
at
great.
this point you got to blame everyone. Like you guys lost culture in less than 6 months. Are you kidding me? If I'm yelling at Michigan, Sharon Moore should be on the hot seat this year, dude.
That's
how
an
do you?
overreaction.
No, how do you lose a culture?
They have
that
no depth.
quickly?
They have
I
no
don't
depth.
care, dude. These are adults. Freaking act like it. You want to be treated as the big boys.
Now,
you
now
want to
we
get
now
paid.
we start blurring the lines
Oh
of
yeah, here we go.
of like paid athletes versus, you know what I mean? Now this is where we start getting into, it's like, listen, if we're paying you, we expect X, you know?
I don't expect you for a blatant pass interference to lose a game that you guys somehow crawled your way back into. You're the number one cornerback on the team. This is 2 weeks ago. And you run into a guy that you didn't need to run into if you just looked up. Like, you didn't even have to do that much effort. That's the team that we're putting on the field right now? Stop it. Jack Tuttle, you're doing great. But stop it, the rest of you.
Just Jack Tuttle. Jack Tuttle's the only member that gets a pass. Yeah, well, it doesn't help that then they went on the road, Washington, that is, went on the road to Iowa this past weekend and got obliterated by 38 points, 48-10. Yeah, so Michigan is coming off of a bye. We'll talk about them in a little bit. But let's start things off hot and let's keep things moving here because we are at 32 minutes and we got a lot to go over yet. But Simeon, well, actually, Robert suggested that we all give all three of us give our individual playoff, our prediction for what the playoff might look like or right now as a season, whatever. We had to come up ourselves with the 12 seedings for the college football playoff. So, Robert, since this was your idea, since this was your game, you get to go first.
All right. So, number one seed, obviously, right now I have Texas.
Yep.
Which
Agree.
can't complain with that.
Nope.
Number two, I have Oregon, which I
Okay.
would assume right now, Big Ten champ, whatever.
Yep. Okay.
Number three would be Miami, ACC
Okay.
champ.
Don't hate that. Sure.
Number four, Big 12 champ, Iowa State.
Okay. You know what?
So-
I don't hate any of that. Mine varies a little bit, but we'll get into mine. Don't hate any of that.
Now's where it gets kind of wonky. Okay,
Cut,
so
cut.
right,
I expected nothing else.
yeah, like so number five, I have
Mhm.
is Notre Dame.
Okay. You think they'll
Because-
climb up to that 5 spot?
Well, because my interpretation of how they were saying the rules is number five is essentially Notre Dame unless they are ranked worse than the Power Five.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, which means Boise State has to sit at number 12.
Okay. Sure.
Number six, I have is Ohio State. You're frozen for me. This is fantastic.
Yeah. You're.
Just keep
I can
talking,
hear
we
you.
hear
Can't
you.
see you.
Yep.
You're good. Oh, we may have lost him. Oh.
Nope.
Now he's back.
I see is
Okay.
okay.
All right.
So, number seven, I have Georgia. Number
Okay.
8, Alabama.
Okay.
9, Penn State.
Okay.
10, LSU, and 11, I have Clemson.
Okay. And then 12 is you said
Boise State. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So you did a little bit chalk as if the season ended today, and then a little bit prediction, kind of looking forward, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. So I did roughly the same thing. My picks differ in a little bit. Simeon, do you have your 12, by the way, or are you still dicking around?
No, I have my 12. I don't know if I love them, but yeah, I have my
Okay.
12.
So, number one, I have Texas, right? I think they're the best team in college football as of today. I don't see that changing. Number two, I actually have Ohio State. I think Ohio State makes the Big Ten championship game and then against Oregon and beats Oregon. Kind of a revenge sort of game. Number three, I have Clemson. It was either Clemson or Miami, and I just went with Clemson there. Number four, I have the Big 12 champ, and that would be Iowa State. And then I kind of did a little future prediction here. So Oregon, I have that they're number two all the way up until the Big Ten title game. They lose to Ohio State, so they would just fall to 5. Penn State is going to sit there at 6. Miami, ACC gets 2 teams in at 7. Georgia, I think, loses to Texas and then wins out the rest of the way, including to my 9 seed Tennessee, who their only other loss would be then to Georgia. They would be Bama, which forces them all the way out. Notre Dame would be at 10. BYU would be at 12 because Iowa State and BYU don't play each other until the championship game. So they both could be ranked in the top 10 by the time the Big 12 championship game comes around. And then 12 would be Boise State.
I don't hate that.
Yeah.
If I was listening, I wouldn't hate it even less. So
Nice.
here's the issue. Thanks. Here's the issue with my thing that I used collegefootballnetwork.com's college football playoff predictor. Basically, you predict the rest of the year, but it doesn't take into the account where the rankings would be, losses, wins, and therefore, conference losses, conference wins, and therefore possible rankings. So you guys are going to hate this, and I'm going to give it to you because I think it's funny at this point. Top 4 doesn't really matter what order. I think it's going to be Texas at 1. But top 4 is Oregon, BYU, Texas, and Utah. Now, I do have Texas losing
Utah?
not Utah. I'm sorry. Oh, the U.
I was like, okay,
Miami.
that can't
Miami.
happen.
I was like,
No,
whoa.
No. Because I have Texas getting upset by Vanderbilt in 2 weeks. So that's why we're there. Okay. Now, number 6 is Iowa State.
Okay.
I need to give you number
Who's
5.
5?
Army. I have Army beating Navy basically twice.
Well, technically, I mean, it could happen.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Army could if
I-
they could slide into that 5 spot. Yeah.
If they go undefeated, they would be the highest
and
ranked group of 6 team.
They get
Yeah.
Notre Dame in a few weeks. Okay, continue.
They do. Okay. So 6 is Iowa State, which I don't hate either. 7 is Washington State, which I do hate immensely. Don't love that there. I think a Georgia's more likely. I was trying to confirm that. Even a JMU is more likely than Washington State somehow going. I think 11-1 is what I have them at. At 8 is Clemson. 9 is Alabama. 10 is Texas Tech. 11 is SMU. And 12 is Indiana.
Could you imagine a scenario where not only does Penn State and Ohio State not make it?
So, and you
That
have to,
is that. First of all, like that's the most far fetched thing I say. If that happens, it will go down this 2024 season, and I say this very confidently. This would be the greatest college football season of all time. If Penn State, Ohio State get left out, Indiana, SMU, Washington State,
Texas
Army,
yeah.
like if all that happens. I don't even. Michigan can go 5-7. I don't even care. They can go 4-8 for all I care. That would be the greatest college football season of all time.
So I think a lot of those actually have a chance of happening. Not the Washington State, not the SMU, not the Army.
SMU has a decent shot.
SMU has a decent shot. I'll give Texas Tech also a decent shot just because how much of a cluster F the Big 12 is in. I have in my simulations. I'm sorry, my phone is going off. I have Penn State losing to Wisconsin because knowing Penn State, they're going to drop a game to somebody that they shouldn't drop a game to. after beating Ohio State, I believe, or vice versa. And then I have Michigan upsetting Ohio State after losing basically all of their other games for the year, which is how that would happen. And it's very, knowing these teams, very possible. Granted, Drew Aller looked a lot better this past weekend. So not out of the realm possibility, but very unlikely. That Army thing there at 5 and a Georgia team just absolutely falling off the wagon. That's, I think, the surprising part. But hey, I had fun, and that's all that matters. It's to have fun. That's all the 4th and 1 podcast is about, right, guys?
Did you guys know that number 1 in the FCS poll that South Dakota State and North Dakota State are 1 and 2?
No.
Did you guys know that Kutztown is the number 5th ranked Division II team in the country?
Oh, there it is.
Slippery Rock is 6, and this gets me to why I originally interrupted. That Cignetti was on Nick Saban's original coaching staff at Alabama, like his first one.
Okay.
Was there for 4 years, took the D2 job at IUP.
That's right.
Built them into a little bit of a powerhouse in D2 from what I remember, and then kind of worked his way up. So that's just a fun fact of the day.
That is, because he was at not the Citadel, but one of those FCS schools before this.
He was at JMU before this. Before Indiana.
JMU.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, you'll have to forgive me. And not a single PA school is ranked in Division III right now.
Susquehanna.
Right there at 8. Oh, yep, there they are. Random team, 5 and 1.
And Grove City.
Grove City.
I'm sorry, I wasn't looking too hard. Okay, I looked at the top, I looked at the bottom, and then I looked.
I'm gonna go ahead and say Carnegie Mellon probably is too.
Oh, yep, there they are.
That would be a Pittsburgh one.
The Terriers.
I just about said John Hopkins, but that's in Baltimore, so don't listen to me.
100%.
Oh, Wisconsin Whitewater?
Is that in Pennsylvania?
Where's Springfield? Isn't there a Springfield, PA?
No,
but that has to be like Indiana or whatever. Massachusetts.
I think.
Okay. All right. Well, this is a fun fact of the day. Robert, since Simeon just likes unorganized structure, we'll just keep this thing rolling.
Keep rocking, guys. You're doing great.
Okay. Let's spend just real quick here. Clock management time in 2 big games. Number 1, Oregon, Ohio State. Number 2, Penn State, USC. That second one maybe flew under the radar. You know what? Just give me your thoughts. All clock management, not clock management, about one of the games of the day, Ohio State, Oregon.
Everything that's going on with the Oregon Ohio State game, first off, Ohio State held on to that timeout way too long.
Yeah.
They had a timeout. They held on to it way too long. They should have just called it and tried to devise some sort of play up after that pass interference call. And then Oregon just 5-heads it. And Dan Lanning just turns out to be pardon my French, but a goddamn genius.
Right.
And beats Ryan Day at his own game, essentially.
I don't know. Do you think that they knew the clock was running? Because at some point it didn't look like anyone knew, except for maybe Will Howard.
So I don't think Ohio State necessarily did, and I think Will Howard did, is because he went and I think he glanced up and saw it going. And then he was like, and then it was hurry up. But even at that moment, they should have clocked it.
Yeah.
It should have been, boop, timeout. Hey, clock was going. Can we look at this? Like, why was the clock running? That's where Ryan Day should have been the more experienced coach and been like, something's not right here. Why is the clock going? And then even then, you have 8 seconds, and you have your guys going on corner routes, whatever, getting to the sideline, get some yardage. But I think they just were like, this is a $20 million team. They need to make $20 million decisions, and they made a $1.50 decision. That's not even good enough for the dollar menu. So,
heck of a game, though. The Big Ten game that preceded that, Penn State USC, I'll take the other side of that coin. Also, overtime game, college kicker situation, in all of these games, kicking woes. Penn State, USC. USC's kicker misses a field goal. Florida, Tennessee. They had a couple missed field goals. LSU, Ole Miss. They had 2 missed field goals during the game. South Carolina missed a field goal. Cal missed a field goal to beat Pitt at the end of regulation. So, first of all, college kickers just all of a sudden forgot how to kick. Penn State, USC. What shocked me with this is USC's driving to kick a game-winning field goal. Game is tied. And they pick up a first down, and then they just kind of muck about and let the clock go from like 50 seconds all the way down to 15, then call a timeout, then throw an interception,
Loser.
to which then they go to overtime, and Penn State, USC misses the field goal, Penn State hits their field goal, and they win in overtime. Penn State, Tyler Warren, they have Tyler Warren to thank. He might be the most versatile guy in the country. How Andy Kolnicki, like, he's just literally, you play center, then go out for a pass, you play this, throw the ball, hand the ball off, catch the ball, do whatever you got to do, basically get it in this guy's hand. If Penn State didn't have Tyler Warren, number 44, Penn State would not be, they probably would have lost to Bowling Green, and then that would have just been the start of it. So they have a lot to thank with him. But just bad clock management by Lincoln Riley. And his offensive prowess, yes, is getting him 30-ish points a game, but it is not good enough right now in the Big Ten. They're still too small on both lines of scrimmage to compete in the Big Ten. They are fast enough. They were faster than the Big Ten, but also choke job. He has now choked 3 straight games, or 3 of 4 games. Michigan, they choked away. Minnesota, they choked away. And USC, they were up 20-6 at halftime and just choked on a grape the size of a grapefruit. Play on words there.
Who's worse? Who's worse? Lincoln Riley this year, or 1-7 against AP top 25 teams Ryan Day?
Is it 1-7 or 2-6?
I mean, either way, it's really bad.
Either way, it's bad.
It's not great.
And he's 0 for his last 5, right?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be Ryan Day because there's just
continue. Sorry, keep going. Keep going.
Because there's no scenario where like Ohio State should be like they're in the top 15 recruiting class every single year.
Yeah,
every
top
year.
5.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they get this quarterback, they get these 5-star wide receivers, they get all these players. There's no reason that you should be losing as much as what you do in the big games. Hey, you beat Purdue, baby. Beat Purdue. Send them back to West Lafayette. But God forbid you beat a team ranked in the top 10.
So let me add a correction here. If it's 1-7 or 2-6, it's really 1 and if it's 2-6, it's really 1-4, I want to say, or 1-3, because 2 or 3 of those losses would be to Michigan. So take out the rivalry game. Is it as bad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he still has a losing record. And again, I don't know all of the losses. Like, I would like to know all of the losses, but something just in like all of the losses, it's like, really, you lost it that way? Like, they lost the Georgia. They blew a lead against Georgia in the Peach Bowl, right? They blew like a 14-point fourth quarter lead in the Peach Bowl, something like that. They blew the lead to Oregon. They were up 14-0. Were they not? 14-6? They were up by a significant amount to Oregon. They had the ball, choked that away. They played Oregon at home. Now, I don't know if that was the top 5 matchup at the time or if that's being counted, but that was a top 10 matchup from what I assume, and they got run out of the building. Now, that was like 3 years ago, 2021, I want to say.
So Ryan Day's last 5 games versus top 5 teams, he's 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4. He's 1-4. He lost number 5 Notre Dame in 2022, number 3 Michigan in 2022, number 1 Georgia in 2022, number 3 Michigan last year, number 3 Oregon.
Wait, they lost to Notre Dame in 2022?
According to
I definitely thought.
ESPorts.com, yeah.
Oh, okay. I definitely thought that they beat Notre Dame.
They beat Notre Dame 21-10 because this was when they
Yes,
Ryan
that's
Day
what I
was
said.
like,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was the one game he won.
I see. That was the
"This
one
is a
game
tough
he
team.
won.
We're a tough team."
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
And then he F's off too. Okay, so here's 11 Warriors, which looks like an OSU site, which is up to Oregon's loss. So this is all 7 games against top 25 teams. 2019 lost to Clemson. 2020 lost to Clemson.
Okay, so Clemson, he had a double-digit lead at one point, loss.
Yeah,
2020 lost. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Clemson game in 2019 was a 23-29 loss. That's probably the one you're thinking of.
Yes, and he had a double-digit lead, and the refs kind of help Clemson win that one, but that's besides the point. Go ahead.
He won against Clemson in 2020. Sorry, there's
Blew
one
him
of his
out.
wins.
Yep.
He lost to Alabama, and I believe that was
In the national
EFP,
championship
yep.
game, got railroaded. Yep.
in 2020. Yep, 52-24. He beat Notre Dame in 2022, like we've already stated.
This is a tough team. Yep.
Yep, and then he lost to Georgia in the same year.
Yep. If you're taking
and
out Michigan, yep.
I guess they weren't ranked. Is this against top 5 teams?
Oh,
this is
okay.
against top 5 teams. So
Okay.
this is that where we're getting.
I think
that
Michigan
stat.
was 6th that year. Yeah.
Okay.
Michigan was 3 and 22.
Was that where they finished the season after beating?
Yeah, because then Michigan would have they would have been number 2 to play against number 3 TCU.
So either way, they lost to Michigan. Then what happened?
I don't think they were ranked at the time. And again, this is a blog, 11warriors.com. OSU lost to Georgia in 2022, and then lost to Michigan last year, and then lost to Oregon.
Yeah.
This year.
And most of those games, Ohio State had a lead in the second half, and it was late game situation that cost them, right? The only game where Ohio State never was or never really had control would be the Michigan rivalry games, where Michigan just railroaded them for 4 quarters on the ground and just squeezed the life out of them, right? So, yeah, back to your original question, it's got to be Ohio State. Robert, real quickly, before we get into previewing this excellent upcoming weekend, any other games you want to talk about? Anything you want to mention from this past weekend that happened?
Or you can even transition us into a game you specifically want to talk about this week.
Well, if we're gonna transition into a game I want to talk about, then it's got to be the big red alert, because if we all know, hey, this is the middle of October.
Yeah.
And
I
there's
mentioned
a game,
this already. Yep.
There's a game Friday night at Purdue, and Purdue's going to wear all black for the Oregon Ducks to come in town, and they're ranked number 2, and that is not good for Oregon, because what does Purdue do in the middle of October to teams ranked in the top 5?
Upset!
Put them on the upset alert, because right there it is, staring you in the face, 8 p.m. on Fox.
That's Micaiah. I love how you called that. Good for you. 8 p.m. on Fox in Lafayette. Oregon is a 27.5 point favorite.
Tune into that game. Tune into
Before
that
we get
one.
into the big ones, Micaiah
Purdue's
let us in.
awful, too.
Purdue is historically bad. Like, without even looking at it's historically bad. I want to confirm it. Here it is. Micaiah put in the group chat. The University of New Mexico is going to Logan, Texas. They are a 2-point favorite right now. The over-under for that game is 78.5 points.
I wonder how they came up with that.
Because both teams are awful.
This game is on True
look at their
TV and Max, for the record. It's
if you
easily
look
watchable.
If you look at their last like
So,
last
last five.
their last
Here's-
5 games. It's like 58-41.
So
it's
here's-
like 60 to
So Utah has lost their last 5 games. The opposing team has put up in chronological reverse order. So last week first week last. UNLV 50, 62, 45, 38, 48. That 48 was a 48-0 blowout at USC. The Lobos in New Mexico, 52 52-point win, a 50-point win against their in-state rivals, the 38 loss, a 45 loss, and a 61-point loss to Arizona.
Purdue history of number 2 upsets. 2021, number 2 Iowa came into town, went down 24-7. 2018, number 2 Ohio State came to town, rolling. Got blown out 49-20. Then you got to go back to 83. Number 2 Ohio State came into West Lafayette, and that was a dub for Purdue. Also, they're missing one. I don't know if it was a top 2, but it was a top 5 win when Michigan State beat Michigan the next week in a big-time, big noon kickoff in 2021, rolls into West Lafayette and gets absolutely dumped on by the Boilermakers. So, are we taking Purdue plus the points? Is that what you're telling me, Rob? Is that one of your picks? One of your locks?
No, it's actually not because Purdue looks so bad.
They look better against Illinois.
Yeah, but that's my worry with Purdue is they look so bad that Oregon's going to show up and Purdue's just going to stick it to them. Just hard-nosed, smash-mouth football against Oregon, who's just coming off a very big emotional win. So all the stars are literally aligning for this upset to happen, and that's what scares me.
And that means it's not going to happen.
Yes.
The crazy part is the 2 picks we have, which are the meme picks for us, which is the over on the 78.5, and then Purdue plus the points is what I'm hearing.
Simeon, what did you go last week? Because I went 1-2. Rob went 2-1.
3-0.
Okay, so at what point are we shutting you down from
this week? I already didn't pick layups. You're fine.
You have a money line right there.
A money line is not a layup.
How is it not a layup? By the way, so you're 3-0.
Yeah.
You went 3-0 last week.
Yeah.
So you. Oops.
He's
so
adjusting things.
We have the same record now. We are both 14-10 on the year.
Let's go. 0 to hero. Listen, I set the
money
rules.
line. A money line is a layup, especially when you take the favorite.
Okay. So, they're not that much of a favorite. They're like a 3-point favorite.
They're not that much of a favorite.
Do you want me to pick a different money? Listen, it's working, and I set the rules, and you yell at me for not picking the same games.
We're gonna have a new rule that you have to pick a Tuesday Wednesday game.
If it's a money line,
Oh,
No, just a Tuesday Wednesday game because that's where I'm living right now.
Hey, you're doing pretty well. In a game that I will not be picking, but talking about is a shocking game that is noon on Fox, big noon kickoff, and that is unranked Nebraska, going to the shockingly ranked, highly ranked number 16 Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana has scored 40 points in every game this season. They were the first team to 6-0. First team to 6 wins as well. They're 6-0 for the first time since 1967. They're second in the nation in scoring in 48 points per game. They're 11th in points allowed per game with 15. However, Nebraska walks in with a real defense and a tough line of scrimmage. Nebraska is 7th in the nation in defense, giving up 11 points per game. The offense is up and down. They're 57th in passing and 90th in rushing. So, Rob and Simeon, Nebraska, do they kind of put a stop to the Cinderella story that is Kirk Siggy Nettie and Indiana Hoosiers on Saturday?
You want it first? Go ahead.
I mean, if this is the game, and I want to pull this up specifically to confirm this, why is am I on the wrong week? Nope, here you are. If this is the game, if there is a game to upset Indiana, it's gonna be this one. Because they have Washington, who doesn't look too hot. I think a team that can beat Maryland can beat Washington. And then Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, Purdue. So that Ohio State game might be able to get them. But if there is a team, it's this Nebraska-led team that honestly looks very, very good from what I saw them play. Very well put together, disciplined well. I don't see a reason why this can't be an upset. I just haven't seen Indiana really play besides the Syracuse game. Wait, nope, that's a different team. That's Nebraska. So, I don't know what to tell you here. It's going to be tight. It's going to be a fun game. It's the big noon kickoff for sure.
All right. Thanks to you for not answering my question. Robert.
Gave you some color. Okay, come on. Give me something.
Listen, we're going to find out if Indiana's for real. We're going to find out if
and
their
that's
defense...
helpful. That's exactly what I just said.
Well,
that's
no, we're going to find... No. Mr. Layup, you go ahead and you sit on the bench, all right?
I'm sorry. Who's tied for first after being in last place?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Just, another layup. I'll just wheel you on over.
I'm sorry. Listen, why jack threes when I can hit twos, you know? Sometimes you just got to score baskets.
I don't think Indiana has played an offense that is like Nebraska's yet, especially a Dylan Raiola-led offense, a.k.a. Baby Mahomes. And I also think their defense is a lot better. Indiana played Northwestern, Maryland, and Charlotte, UCLA, and whoever WIU is, Western Illinois, maybe.
Yeah.
I could probably put money on the fact that neither of those teams have a decent defense, at least a fighting defense, but not like a game-winning defense. But it's also going to be a big game for Nebraska. Nebraska, they got to show that they're ready to make that extra step. It's also a big shot for Nebraska to maybe make a bowl game. When was it how many years has it been since Nebraska's been in a bowl game?
At least 10, I would think. By the way, the spread on that game is Nebraska or Indiana's getting 6.5 points there. The third Saturday in October is named the third Saturday in October because of this rivalry, and it is number 7 Alabama going to number 11 Tennessee.
I had a really good point.
Did you have a really good point?
Up Roberts. Indiana's outscoring their opponents, which is 12-1. 12.7-1. So, yeah, they haven't really faced a defense like this. There you go. Third Saturday in October.
All right. Thank you for interrupting me for that. Number 11, Tennessee. 3:30 ABC. This used to be the 3:30 CBS game that all the SEC fans are mad about. Third Saturday in October. I love the name of the rivalry because it is simple, but it is yet somehow hard. It goes hard. Has Alabama found a defense yet? That is the question. They're 41st in points per game. They're 63rd in passing yards allowed per game. And they go up against the Tennessee team that, frankly, has got to find a passing game. Can they find an offense in SEC games? In their 3 SEC conference games, they have scored 25, 19, and 23 points total in those 3 games. Awful. 2 years ago, last year, Tennessee, those numbers would have been much higher. They are 7th in rushing and 4th in points allowed. So they do run the ball and they play good defense, which is, as we know, being Michigan fans, the hallmark of a championship caliber team. Robert and Simeon, I'm going to make this really simple for you. Okay? I don't need a whole 10-minute long rant. The more likely thing to happen: Alabama finding a defense and winning, Tennessee finding a passing game and winning.
Alabama finding a defense and winning.
Yeah, I think, but Alabama's secondary has looked spotty from what I've seen them this year.
It has, but I think it is, but
yeah,
they can at least create pressure from their line a lot better than what I think Tennessee can.
Yeah.
And Tennessee's offensive scheme is not built for Alabama right at this moment.
I think they got exposed last week, and I think
Yeah.
that's what we found out. Most expensive game, by the way, to go watch in person. Lowest ticket, $289. 300 buckaroos.
Wow.
For those of you. I want to do a Micaiah. What do they call it when somebody does a version of someone else?
Impersonation.
A Micaiah impersonation. 3:30 on CBS. It's 24 Michigan taking on number 22 Illinois. This is Michigan's last stand. If not, they are out and they are dead to me. Enter Jack Tuttle, the third quarterback for the year on the roster for the 2023 Natty Champs National Champions. Michigan is 131st in passing yards per game, 103rd in points per game at 23.5. Defense fell off the wagon. 56, allowing 22.3 yards per game. Illinois' only loss coming on the road to a PSU team that looked atrocious on an unofficial whiteout night. They are 51st in points at 31 points a game and 58th in passing at 242.2 yards a game. Defense is 36, allowing 20 points per game. Robert, is this finally when Michigan just loses it?
No.
Huh?
No. Illinois looks okay, but they gave up 49 points to Purdue. And Michigan's a little better than Purdue. Defense is a little better.
Not by much.
Yeah,
Not
I
by
know,
much.
but Illinois' offense doesn't impress me at all. And as long as Michigan can as long as the defense can hang in there long enough, Jack Tuttle can do something like throw the ball somewhere.
That's it. He just has to throw the ball. That's it.
Anything. Donovan Edwards needs to just run forward, and Sharon just needs to coach. If we can get someone to throw the ball, someone to run the ball, and someone to coach, we can win the game. Like, we are better than Illinois. Much better.
I actually think that Sharon, I completely agree. I think Sharon should actually take over play calling. Thing here, Michigan coming off of a bye week. So Jack Tuttle now has Sharon Moore named him starter. Press conference, lost to Washington. So he's now had 2 full weeks of reps. It's going to make defense play Michigan as a more standard team, and now I think we will see kind of that offensive line maybe flex a little bit. Number 5, Georgia, going on the road to number 1, Texas, in the game of the weekend. 7:30 ABC. Kirk and Chris Fowler will be on the call. Deep in the heart of Texas lies the best team that has the best defense in the country, allowing 6.3 points per game. And that's
crazy.
It is crazy. They are 7th in scoring as well, averaging over 43 points per game. They're 11th in passing and 40th in rushing. They are just by far a Big 12 team that came into the SEC and are just simply the best team in that conference. And in college football right now, Georgia comes in trying to find it yet. And Robert mentioned this last week, and he got a lot of hate on TikTok for it. Let me tell you, the comments were not kind. They're 9th in passing, but he's right. They're averaging 134 yards on the ground, which is only 90th in the country. There are 134 FBS teams, so it's nowhere near half. So everyone needs to get off of Robert's dick because he's actually right for once. Defense is top 20, allowing 17 points per game, but they're not playing with the same aggression. Whenever I turn into a Georgia game now and they're on defense, it's like, give up a 20-yard bomb and then a touchdown. And then the next drive will actually set the edge, and then we won't. Like there's no aggression to it. Game of the week, and this is what I want from you too, real quick. Georgia, Bama. Who you got?
I forget. I think it was Gus. No, not Gus Johnson. Who commentates next to Gus Johnson? I always forget.
Joe Clapp.
Joe Klatt. Thank you. He said it best when the Michigan-Texas game, week number 3. Man, this Texas team really reminds me of really the Michigan team from last year. And that's what it looks like. It looks like a team who is solely focused on winning the Natty. That is their one goal. They bring in their backup for 4 games so their starter can rest and he spins the bean. Or 3 games, sorry. They are focused on winning the Natty. This Alabama team has fallen off the past 2 weeks. It's Texas. Deep in the heart.
Nice.
Horns.
Yeah, Texas is rolling. I will be shocked if Texas does not run down Georgia's throat. I will. I will be surprised. That Georgia defense is probably the worst Georgia defense that has been around in the past 4 years.
Yeah. There's just no aggression to it. Yeah, absolutely.
And you people out there, you can hate it. That's fine. But hey, I'm not CFB3. I'm not a college football insider. I'm a man who just has an opinion about these Georgia Bulldogs because the only thing they can do is drive really fast all the time.
Come after me.
Exactly.
I'm a man.
They can
I'm
drive
40.
as fast as they want. And you know what? There's a couple Texas Rangers that are going to pull them over on the way.
That was a nice reference. Also, the Ohio State fans on TikTok did not like the fact that both Rob, you, and me had the audacity to say that Oregon might punch them in the mouth. I believe that we both picked Ohio State to win the game on Saturday night, and we just had the audacity to say that how dare Oregon be able to punch Ohio State in the mouth.
I mean, they kind of did. Ohio State came out. They punched Oregon in the mouth right off the bat.
Yeah.
But they folded when Oregon did it.
Yeah.
And then it was a track meet.
Yeah.
And Will Howard is not a runner.
He is not. But what will be a track meet come Saturday night, and this isn't going to be in the territory of 78 over under. It's more like 66.5, and I almost took it in my lock of the week. But that's North Texas and Memphis. Why am I talking about a team that's playing on 7:30 on ESPNU? Because I didn't want to talk about LSU and Arkansas. I want to give the little guys their moment in the sun. Both teams 5-1. North Texas 2-0 in the American. Memphis 1-1. This is a big game for both of these teams to keep pace with the service academies, Navy, and Army at the top. North Texas is 4th in passing yards and 13th in points per game, but 116th in points allowed per game at 33. Meanwhile, Memphis's defense is really good, 15th in points allowed per game. Offense, though, is mid, 41st in passing and 48th in points per game. Guys, we're right up against it here. Memphis, this is at Memphis. You got the Mean Green Fighting Machines of North Texas or the Tigers of Memphis. Who you got?
Mean Green.
That's a rough one for me. I'm going to take Memphis. And for the record, the Memphis UTSA game was the superlative, for the highest points scoring. And this one might be it. So who knows? We'll see what happens.
That concludes the previews. By the way, if anyone cares, which I know you don't, I have Nebraska beating Indiana, Tennessee beating Alabama, I have Michigan beating Illinois, Texas beating Georgia, and Memphis with the better defense beating North Texas. Locks of the week. Well, since Layup Man here has now tied the leader, he can now go first. So what you got, Mr. Layup Man?
Well, I'll take my layup off the board first.
Okay.
I'm on the Vanderbilt hype train. I'm now back on the Georgia Tech hype train. I'm on the Army hype train. And lastly, I'm on the Navy hype train as they are, I believe, are going to Charlotte, North Carolina to take on the 49ers. It's easy. Navy money line. Let's go.
Okay. Excellent. That's fine. I will go second, and with my second pick, the Georgia-Texas game over/under sitting at 56.5 right now. Texas's defense is really good, and Georgia's passing game is really good, but Texas is going to expect that, and Georgia, I don't think, is going to be able to run the ball effectively because they're 90th in the country. I think this game is close. That's why I'm staying away from or the spread, excuse me. But the over-under of 56.5 seems a little high. This seems like a 24-21, 24-27 type game. Either way, the under hits. Give me the under in Georgia, Texas.
All right. I like that.
Thank you.
First pick. We're going to go 4 p.m. on Fox. We're going to Arizona. Colorado. Arizona is a 3.5 point favorite. Now, Colorado, they looked pretty good against Kansas State, even though they could not run the ball at all.
Negative 29 yards
Yes.
rushing.
It like that. We said if they could run the ball consistently, they could probably be a very good team.
Yeah.
But they can't even whiff the field when it comes to running the ball. However, I think I like Arizona, but I think Colorado's going to get them this week. So give me Colorado plus 3.5.
Yeah, they turn the ball over too much. Arizona does in losses.
Yeah.
Simeon, back to you.
Well, that was my game that no one's going to watch. Another game that only alumni are going to watch. I already said I'm on their hype train. Notre Dame, Georgia Tech. 11.5 point game here. Notre Dame's favored by it. I just think Georgia Tech has finally found their sweet spot with that running to the ball of his last name's King. I don't remember his first name. They're just kind of doing their thing. I think they're going to give it to them. Give me Georgia Tech minus 11.5 against Notre Dame. Plus 10.5. I'm sorry.
Okay.
11.5. Plus 11.5 versus Notre Dame. Saying words are hard. Okay? Words
Ladies and gentlemen, we've been doing this podcast. Me and Simeon. Robert joined us only last year. For 4 years.
Yeah.
We have been making these types of picks, and he still doesn't know plus and minus and over and under.
And the worst
and
is
spread and
I have it written here, and
Yeah.
I still said it wrong.
yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to go straight to the game of the week
All Joe Biden.
that no one knows on my end, and that is Bowling Green and Kent State. Kent State is really, really bad. They are on like their
Very.
third or fourth string quarterback. Bowling Green is much better. They went toe-to-toe with Penn State. They went toe-to-toe with A&M. The over-under is 55.5, and I just think that that's a tad low because I think that Bowling Green might put up 40 plus, and then Bowling Green's bad enough that Kent State will score 14. So give me the over 55.5. Bowling Green, Kent State.
That's you're under till you're not, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I guess it's my turn, huh?
Yep.
3:30 p.m. Saturday. Knoxville, Tennessee. Alabama, I got them at minus 2.5. I like that
Oof.
because Alabama finds a defense this week and then probably loses it a week after or 2 weeks after, whatever. But DeBoer needs another statement win. Alabama needs a statement win. What better way to do it? At Alabama, bunch of crazy drunks singing Rocky Top all day. You know what? It's going to take them forever to put another goalpost up there because Alabama's going to beat that ass. Alabama minus 2.5.
Correction on Robert's end. They are at Knoxville, not Alabama this weekend.
Yeah, either way.
Either way,
It might as well be Alabama North.
it might. That's good. Simeon, back to you.
Oh, it is back to me. Okay, last one. Friday night game, I believe this is. Maybe even Thursday night game. Boston College UAV. We'll keep it simple. I think it's a little disrespectful to put Boston College plus 6.5 6.5. I even think I took them plus 6.5. If you can get them at 7.5, I'd prefer that. But yeah, give me Boston College plus 6.5.
And for me, finally, I'm going with the Big Blue Nation, and that would be my own Michigan Wolverines. The over-under is sitting at a sizzling 43.5. I know that Illinois can score, and I know Michigan's defense is mid, so they're going to give up about 20, 23 points per game. Jack Tuttle, now 2 full weeks to practice as the starter, right? Off of the week to Washington, and then all of this week. He can maybe throw a bit. Now, can he turn the ball over? Yeah, but that'll just help Illinois score. Michigan is good for 17 points a game without a quarterback. Now they have some semblance of one. So at least give me 27 from Big Blue Nation. Illinois adds 20 on top of that. That equals 47. If I can do math, give me the over in Michigan, Illinois.
You guys want to go to El Paso, Texas? Because
let's go.
Wednesday night,
Wednesday
night,
night, teams in football.
9 p.m., Florida International gets on a plane, probably Spirit Airlines, flies on over to Texas to play University of Texas El Paso.
FIU and UTEP is what you're taking right now?
Yeah, buddy.
Insane?
And you know why? Because the over-under is 48.5. Yeah, that's a 25-24 win for me, baby. Give me the over. Oh, UTEP, they might get their first win. They're 0-6. Florida International is 2-4. The Panthers versus the Miners. Come on now. Over 48.5.
Well, we definitely keep it entertaining for you, ladies and gentlemen. This has been another episode of 4th and 1 Podcast. Wash those hands, you filthy animals. We'll see you next week. Enjoy the third Saturday in October.